The Chicago Bears take on the Detroit Lions in Week 17. So let's talk about it. What is going on, y'all? Fox Sports all back at it with another video talking, of course, NFL. Here to talk about the Chicago Bears and talking about their matchup this week against the Detroit Lions in Week 17. Week 17, people. We are almost to the end of the regular season. Can you guys believe it? One more week left, or 2 more weeks, I guess, if you include 17. And, man, crazy to think about. Hopefully you guys have been liking the content because I think I've put out a video for every single Bears game preview and a post-game recap, and I'll continue to do so until the end of the season. And, you know, sometimes obviously you wish that there was more games after that, but sadly the Bears will not be making the playoffs. We know that with their record. And so let's enjoy these last 2 games here, people. We got Bears football for 2 more weeks, and I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it. All right, so with that being said, let's get into this matchup here. Bears-Lions. Spread is -5.5 in favor of the Lions. I always start with the numbers, and that is the first number to look at. 5.5 is an interesting number to me. I know the Lions were going to be favored in this one. I just didn't know how much. I was thinking, would it be a touchdown? Would they give the Lions that much respect? And I think they would have, if the Lions would have beat the Panthers last week. But they actually got the doors blown off them, especially in the first half. They play catch-up, but yeah, that was a beatdown by the Panthers. So I think the Bucs just took that game and took the little bit of respect that they were giving Detroit away. And they're like, no, we're not going to give them a touchdown. Let's do 5.5. So, okay, that's the line right there. Over-under is 52. Wow, that's a big number. When is the last time the Chicago Bears were involved in a game in which the over-under was over 50 points? 50 points, people. Try and remember, because I can't. And that just goes to show you the impact of Justin freaking Fields. And yes, I want to give a large part of that credit to Justin Fields, because if the Bears were starting Trevor Siemian or Nathan Peterman in this game, you can bet anything this total would not be 52. Justin Fields is the reason why this total is 52. And so, mainly the reason for the Chicago Bears. And so, man, love to see that. Love to see that the Bears are now one of these teams that, you know, puts up points, and the bookmakers, the odds makers respect that. So, wow, over under 52. I would love for this game to go over that. Would love to see a high-scoring matchup here. All right, so with that being said, let's get into more of the analysis. All right, so let's start with the Detroit Lions defense, who I cannot figure out for the life of me, all right? So the Lions defense early on in the season was absolute garbage, especially the run defense. It was awful. And then they had started to improve and really lock down and buckle down, and guys weren't able to run on the Detroit Lions anymore. You could still pass on them, you could still throw on them, but you couldn't run on them. And we saw one of the last few weeks, Dalvin Cook had like 15 carries for 23 yards. Like, when's the last time you've seen Dalvin Cook, a top 5 running back, be that marginal in a game against a bad run defense or supposed bad run defense? So now I'm thinking, look, Detroit's run defense, it's good now. They've improved. You can't run on these guys easily anymore. And then last week happens. What happened last week? They got, like I mentioned, the doors blown off them by the Carolina Panthers. In the first half, the Panthers were doing whatever they wanted, and even in the second half, but the Lions played catch-up. That's why the scores looked closer than it actually was. I mean, this was not even a contest. This was a blowout, people. Even Dan Campbell said it to the very end to the Panthers head coach that this was a you-know-what kicking for the Panthers, all right? And especially for the Panthers in that game, the reason for the victory was a large part of it being the running attack. Mostly all of it. Dante Foreman and Chuba Hubbard ran all over this Lions team. I mean, all over them, folks. Let me read these numbers to you guys. 21 carries for 165 yards and a touchdown for Dante Foreman, and then 12 carries for 125 rushing yards for Chuba Hubbard. All right? So their backs literally combined for more than 250 rushing yards. Like, you can run on this Detroit Lions defense. I'm going to go ahead and take last week as my kind of evidence to say that, no, this Lions run defense has not improved, because we just saw 2 guys who aren't prolific backs. These aren't the Jonathan Taylors, the Christian McCaffreys, running backs run all over this Lions team. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the Bears can do the same. And we've got our two backs back now in David Montgomery, who's always been there, but obviously having your backup in Khalil Herbert. So yeah, the way to win this game against the Lions, if you want to win that is, remember, we're going for the number 2 overall, number 1 overall pick potentially. But if you do obviously want to win this game, you run the football. All right? And I mentioned only 2 guys who's going to run, but it's really 3 because we know Justin Fields can run, and we know he's going for that record set by Lamar Jackson for the most rushing yards in a season by a quarterback. So I want Monty, I want Herbert, and I want Fields. I want a heavy dose of all 3. Folks, we might not pass the ball all game if we're able to run the way the Panthers did. Now, I don't foresee that to be the case, and I definitely do want to see the passing attack. Absolutely. But when you're talking about your top options really being Byron Pringle and, Cole Kmet, and really Dante Pettis, it's not that great to think that, you should really run the football. The passing attack is just awful with no weapons. It's not Fields' fault. If he's throwing to Pettis and if he's throwing Pringle, it's like, why would you want to throw at that point, right? And so Mooney out, Claypool, we don't know if he's going to play this week. So that's my point here. You run the football and you run it and you run it and you run it. And like I said, Fields can get 100 yards in this game, get closer to the record. Monty can certainly do it. Herbert can certainly do it. So that is what you do. That is the offensive game plan, point blank, period. Run the football. Simple enough. All right, defensively, folks, I'm not going to get too cute here. You put pressure on Jared Goff. Jared Goff is not a mobile quarterback. He wants to sit in the pocket. You put pressure on him. The Bears' pass defense isn't very good, but that's what you do. All right? Jared Goff loves the underneath stuff. He's been throwing a little bit more deep now to DJ Chark since he's been back, but for the most part, you get pressure on Goff, you'll be able to stop him. Easier said than done, but you get my point here. Right? That's what I want to do. The Lions have their weapons. Yes, you got Swift, you got Jamal Williams, you got DJ Chark, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. If I had to pick, I'm worried about Amon-Ra St. Brown the most. He's the most talented receiver. But yeah, I want to put pressure on Jared Goff. So really, that's the way the Bears handle this game, both on the offense and defense side of the main keys in this game. Ultimately, I don't think either team will be able to stop either team. This is going to be a shootout. The first game was 31-30 Lions. They got by the Bears by the skin of their teeth. This one will be very similar, and the Lions will win this game because they are fighting for their playoff lives. I mean, Dan Campbell might bite my kneecap off, your kneecap off to get this W. He is going to be that desperate. The Lions are just outside that wild card spot. They are going to be fighting to go ahead and get this dub, especially after they blew an opportunity last week to go ahead and try to lock in one of those playoff spots. So you can bet your top dollar Dan Campbell and the Lions will come to play. They're at home. I'm going to give them that benefit of the doubt. They're playing for more, and I think they come out victorious 35-32. So yes, good old-fashioned shootout in Detroit. It's in Ford Field, domed environment. You don't have to worry about the weather. And yeah, this should be a fun one, folks. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below. Agree or disagree as always. Thanks for watching.